I have something kind of funny that happens to me a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean way more often than it feels statistically possible or reasonable. People constantly stop to ask me for directions. Not just occasionally, not just when I'm near a major landmark, all the time. More than anyone I've ever talked to. This past week, I had one of my personal favorites come up. I work near a cluster of office buildings, 6 or 7 of them, all packed together. And there's a hospital across the street, medical offices everywhere. And it's one of those places where everyone is trying to find something. I went out for a quick walk at the end of my lunch break. As I reached the main road, I heard a truck slow down next to me. The window rolled down, and the driver said, "Hey, do you happen to know where this doctor's office is?" I didn't. But I've learned that when people ask me for directions, I don't actually need to know the answer. I just need my phone. So I pulled it out, typed in the office, and realized something amazing. He was about 100 yards from where he needed to be. One right turn, and he was there. He drove off relieved, and I kept walking, thinking, why does this happen? Because this doesn't just happen near my office, it happens everywhere I go. I get asked directions overseas, in subway stations, on trains, at tourist sites, in cities where I've barely been there longer than a weekend. Usually it starts with, "Do you speak English?" And the moment I say yes, I see it. The relief. Because whatever they're looking for, they're lost. And they're desperate to find someone who feels safe enough to ask. Recently, one of these trips brought me to Budapest. I'd been there for maybe 2 days when a family stopped me in the subway station. They were from another country as well. They had younger kids and were clearly a little bit overwhelmed. And their biggest thing was they were all hungry and wanted to find a place to eat. I told them, hey, good news. This subway only goes one direction. You're at the end of the line, so you literally can't mess this up. But here's also where you should get off, because there's a lot of places to eat. They got on with me, thanked me repeatedly, and went on their way. And again, I thought, why me? So recently I asked a coworker who's seen this happen more than once what she thought. She thought about it for a second and said, I think it's because you look like you know where you're going. And I laughed. Because here's the truth. Like most people in life, I don't always know where I'm going. But I do feel good about where I am. And maybe that's different. I think people don't ask for directions because they think you're right. They ask because you look like you belong. Like you won't judge them. Like you won't rush them. Like you won't make them feel stupid. Most of us are winging it. And that was one of the biggest surprises to me as an adult, realizing that most adults have no idea what's going on. They're lost, they're guessing, and they're terrified of asking for directions, literally and metaphorically. But I ask a lot of questions. If you ask my boss at work, he'll tell you that I always have questions. Not because I wasn't listening or I don't understand something, but I just want to understand something a little bit better, so I'm constantly asking follow-up questions. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe people ask me for directions because I look like someone who would be okay being asked. Because I understand what it feels like to think you're doing everything right, only to realize you're 100 yards away from where you're supposed to be and somehow miss the giant sign on the building. Here's what I've learned. Looking like you know where you're going is not the same as knowing where you're going. Getting 90% of the way there doesn't guarantee the last 10%. And sometimes, after doing all the work, you still have to stop and ask for help. And that's okay. Now, I also want to speak to the people who get asked for directions a lot. There's a reason. In the past month alone, I've helped someone with glaucoma find their eye doctor. Mind you, they were driving. A man using one of those white canes that signifies he's probably blind. I helped him find a dentist office. And an hour later, his father come in the same building and helped him find his son at the dentist office. I've helped people find their way to MRIs and CAT scans, to x-rays, to lawyers and psychiatrists. These aren't casual errands. These are moments when people are scared, stressed, or overwhelmed. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I think sometimes we're placed in someone's path simply because we feel safe. What a privilege that is. To be calm in a moment before something hard. to be the reason someone isn't late, to be the small act of kindness that steadies someone before a scary appointment. So if you're lost, ask for directions, even if you're only 100 yards away. And if you're the person that people go to, don't see it as an interruption. You might be the bright spot in someone's day, the pause they needed, the reminder that not knowing is human. Don't ever take that for granted. Because sometimes the most important direction you give isn't on a map at all.